Well, hello again, KCIW listeners, and welcome to Curry Café. I'm volunteer Rick McNamer. Every Sunday from 3 to 4, your host, Ray Gary, and I put together a panel of guests to discuss various topics of interest that impact our wonderful community. Listeners can participate by texting questions or comments to 541-661-4098. Again, that's 541-661-4098. So now here's Ray to tell us about today's show.
Well, we have a very, very special guest here today. We actually have a mover and shaker, somebody who can take care of real problems, I think. And I'll just let him introduce himself and maybe start talking about some of those problems he's going to take care of.
Take it away.
Well, Ray, hey, really been looking forward to this, guys. I've had interviews all over the state of Oregon, and in Curry County, I don't get to do very many, and this is my home base, and so I'm born in Gold Beach, and know so many people. It's just really an honor to be here. And Ray, I think you and I got to talk, goodness, 4 or 5 years ago, and so we're overdue, and just really a privilege to be on with you guys.
We had a couple of things to discuss, and then if you remember, we went on a parade together. I don't remember what it was about, but.
And by the way, we're talking to Mr. Court Boice.
Oh,
I think we missed that.
State Representative, Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties. And Ray, I remember.
There we go, sir. Right on.
Yeah. Ray, I
don't
remember.
Look at me. I turned it over to him to introduce himself. You can't do that.
Okay.
Ray, I remember your background in law enforcement, and that just is a real soft spot for me, back to blue, and the sacrifices our public safety professionals make. And my middle son, been in Oregon State Police 25 years now, 26, just got promoted to captain. So the 400 employees they have, I think there's only half dozen captains. So I'm really proud of him, and I hope he stays in about another 15 years. We need him and all of his friends. Anyway, thanks for letting me brag just a little bit, gentlemen.
That's something to brag about, for sure. So, Court, I'm going to start out a little bit. You gave us, your background. It was pretty extensive and impressive bio, lengthy experience in both government and business. Number one, do you have a preference of one over the other, doing government or business, or kind of look at them, in the same? It's hard to say the same way, but. Love them the same way. How is that?
Well, I think I've just been very blessed, very fortunate. And Ray and Rick, you know what they say, you're never really as good as your resume, right?
Well, I could like to fake mine if I had to do it again.
So, yeah, nobody ever accused me of being a career politician. I didn't run for public office until I was almost 60. And just something I felt like I had to do. And so, I was in business all those years. And, I supported different candidates, both parties over the years, and just learned a lot, state level all the way down to local races. And so, built a lot of relationships, met a lot of people. And, I just missed Vietnam by an absolute thread. Coming out of high school in 1972, my draft number was 7. So I was going, and my family, no discussion, you're going to serve your country. So that was the 3rd week of May. And 5 weeks later, July 1st, 1972, President Nixon abolished the draft. So you go one more May. I started my commercial tour boat trips up Rogue River, May of 73, and never looked back. I still have my Coast Guard license, and I have to renew it every 5 years. I'm on my 9th 5-year renewal.
Wow.
Still can get the boat up and down to Blossom Bar and take people. And the Jerry's thing, I owned part of that for over 30 years in Paradise Lodge in the Rogue River Wilderness. So, I've just, to whom much is given, much is required. And it's just been how different my life would have been had I gone to Vietnam. And I would have been at the tail end, so probably would not have seen any combat. But I just figure no one knows more than me. And I've been for 10, 12 years really involved in veterans issues. And it's just, likewise, that's an honor.
Well, that's great. I had that down to talk about. Both Ray and I are veterans. Ray is a Vietnam combat veteran. I didn't see combat. I went in at 71 in the Air Force. Ray was in the Army. But yeah, veterans
Wow.
issues are a big deal, very important throughout the country. What do you see then in our area issues for the veterans that you've maybe helped over the years or that still need work?
First of all, thank you for your service. I
Sure.
did not know that Ray had gone to Vietnam, and so and you as well, Rick. And
No,
so
I'm
it's
sorry.
just
I wasn't in Vietnam. I was in Thailand, but no,
well, it's a scary thing
serving. Oh well,
when you're
yeah.
that age, and you can you imagine those kids on a ship or plane headed over there,
No,
and yeah, it's just they knew when they left that a certain percentage of them would not come back.
you bet.
Hey, every Friday of Memorial Day weekend, we show up at the Brookings City Hall. I think I've done it 6 years in a row, maybe only five, but we read the names of every one of the 800 Oregonians that died in Vietnam, of the 58,000 that died in our country. Plus, there was 30 POWs missing in action that were Oregonians.
Hmm.
And there's about 20 of us show up, and we read every one of those names so we don't forget. My grandson Court was with me the last May, and it was just a great experience for him. But anyway, homelessness, as you both know, we lose nationwide about 22. That's getting a little better, but 22 to suicide every single day. And
That's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal.
oh, and I've met in the last 12 years, especially last 12 years, some incredible Vietnam veterans. It's always veterans helping veterans, and just phenomenal men and women that you just go, wow.
Yeah,
I want my sons to grow up and be like him or her.
you
It's
bet.
just been unreal.
Well, that's great. Like I said, that's a group of people that we should all be honoring daily, and I think a lot of us do.
Well, we need to do more. But hey, we're going to have Reese Across America. I've done that 6 or 8 years in a row. Both Gold Beach and Brookings on the 14th. If you need information, have your listeners get a hold of me. Coach Court, COACHCOURT, coachcourt@gmail.com.
All right. Thank you. And then remember, y'all out there, you can text in questions or comments here, 541-661-4098. Now, Court, we got an early text that I'm going to go ahead and read. Start off the show. It says, question for Court Boice. My name is Billy Furici, and as a former special education teacher, my question is this. When the Department of Education no longer exists at the federal level, will the state of Oregon continue funding special education programs at current levels? And if not, how will you determine which programs to cut? Thank you. Well, there you go.
How would Oregon Health Authority is a $30 billion budget biannually, so 15 or plus billion every other year. If I've learned anything, gentlemen, serving in the legislature, in my view, in my opinion, spending is way out of proper priorities, and so that's really something that I think we have to adjust. Kids are our greatest resource. My side in 2023 actually voted for a higher budget, 11 billion, for our education system, which included higher education. But most of the people I serve on my side with 11 women and 12 men, and they're all just incredibly dedicated to families and our education system. And frankly, Oregon is at the bottom, probably the bottom five throughout the state or throughout the country of 50 states. And it didn't used to be that way. Our public education system is failing, and they need more and more money, but the enrollment is going down. So when it comes to disabled and kids that need special attention, I don't know anybody on either side of the aisle that wants to cut that. And if there's not enough money, then I'll take a greater focus on that, and I strongly believe that's critically important.
Now, I didn't hear this interview, so I'm giving this secondhand. A friend of mine heard an interview that you did here with a local radio station, and you thought that we should reassess our priorities as far as what we're teaching kids, going back to the basics, like to
Read,
coin a
write,
cliche that the 3 R's, and not focus on things like the environment and that type of thing. Was that accurately transmitted to me? And did I?
I think it's fair, Ray. You did say the environment, though. If you make the environment the top priority, then and our kids are falling behind in even the basics of reading. And Oregon has a black eye, and the nation knows that. And we got to solve that. So sometimes it's reading, writing, and recycle. The 3 R's, and so that's all good. But growing up as a kid on the Southern Oregon coast, I mean, let's just say 8 or 10. It was far worse to be called a litter bug than a communist. I mean, you just didn't do that in my family. You wouldn't throw anything out the car. But the point is this. We are, if you look at where our kids are right now with their skills in math and reading, and I supported the governor on this. We've outlawed cell phones in schools. Now they can have them close if there's an emergency, so they can contact their parents. And so a lot of Republicans did not want to promote that bill because they thought it was getting into parental rights, and kids wouldn't be able to contact their parents. But I've talked to some different superintendents that absolutely are thrilled with the improvement when the kids cannot have their phones as a distraction. So I hope that answers your question.
So, yes, it seems to me that we went to school without cell phones, and if you didn't have a dime, you couldn't call anybody. So I think we get. When I was working, some of the, I guess you'd call them clients I had, were 14, 15 years old. Now, this is back quite a few years ago, and we were shocked to find out they had cell phones when neither my partner or I had our own cell phones, but they were communicating like that. But so, see, you mentioned the environment. You talk about being a litter bug. Do you think it's important that kids learn about air quality and water quality and things like that? They seem to be pretty ignorant in that regard.
As long as it's not if they get an interest in reading, if they get an interest in their surroundings, if they taught Ray and Rick, the respect of nature, the respect, the Native American approach. You remember when we were kids, the Native American chief had a tear in his eye. It was a side profile.
Yeah, remember that? I thought it was a very powerful commercial.
Well, the other thing about it is he was not a Native American; he was Italian.
Well,
but he played.
Thanks for throwing the water on
that. He made a lot of money playing.
We got the message, though. We got the message.
Yeah, we got the message. We don't care what his race was, but that's funny. That's good. But yeah, to answer your question there, we're the land of the Wild Rivers Coast. This is the most, okay, let's just go back a little bit. The Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest is 1.2 million acres, takes in parts of 4 counties. It is the most rugged, the most wild, the most beautiful national forest in North America. I tell the story sometimes. Jedediah Smith come through here. I'm in Roseburg now, forgive me. But anyway, went through that part of the continent 20 years after the Lewis and Clark expedition. What in the world did he find? He found the most pristine rivers. He found so full of fish that he just, he had a Bible in one hand, a long rifle in the other, but he had to write what he saw. Of course, he found the biggest trees on the planet between the Douglas fir and the redwoods. So that's why we named a park after him. So, that's why I'm so down on fires. That natural fires, as you both know, are good. That's part of nature. They burn 1,200 degrees. But these fires that are so heavy with volatile fuels, what we call the kindling, the ladder fuels, and then we get the winds. Close we come to losing Brookings in 2000. 17. I mean, I was right there every night saying, put the fire out. And then when
Yeah.
it made that run, um, August 22nd, started on the 7th of July, made that run towards Brookings. It went 18 miles in 39 hours. And a lot of people believe it was divine intervention that when they got within about 4.5 miles of Brookings, we had a wind change that blew it back north. So anyway, it destroys our watersheds, and so I've devoted my life. It's not much of a sacrifice. Say, hey, we can change this. We have to. So when the Forest Service used to be pretty, I'll just say it used to be enemies because they let that fire simmer and didn't put it out. Ray and Rick, they have done a 180. My relationship with them right now is exceptional. Also with the Oregon, in fact, I got to sneak off early to Coos Bay. I mentioned in the morning. The Oregon Department of Forestry and the Coos Forest Protective Association for a fire recap. Between the Oregon Department of Forestry and the Forest Service, even the BLM, they've done an about face since the Checo Bar fire, and I just couldn't be happier with with the response and the suppression. A lot of fire prevention, awareness, and so we're not going to lose any more of our suburbs. I mean, I'm going to just absolutely have a responsibility to give it all I got. I hope that makes sense.
Are you aware of what kind of environmental training kids get in school these days? I'm not just talking about fires. I'm talking about things like air quality and burning oil as opposed to other fuels.
Well, boy, what I've learned, how do we measure air quality? The Checo Bar fire, we had a system that the Forest Service, and I think combined with the city of Brookings had that, purple was don't even breathe. Just hold your breath for as long as, until the fire's out. I'm jesting, of course, but, air quality, isn't that why we live here? Are the kids being taught that? And, that's why I've been studying offshore wind for 4 years. And at the first year, so I'm thinking, okay, I need to take a serious look at this because the promises from the federal government, money's coming back to the ports, the tribes, the counties, the fishermen. Some doesn't look right, but I want to assess it properly. Well, it didn't take but 2 or 3 years of that, we realize it doesn't work anywhere in the world. A little bit on the east coast of Europe, but they have much shallower water. They do not have the storms we have here. And so, what happens to the whales, our fish, our birds? And so that's why, people, Curry County residents, well, actually Coos Bay all the way down, this is right in the middle of my district, and the state of Oregon is still trying to promote it a little bit. And it's just not good business. There's nothing about it. We just don't even have the technology. Plus the deep waters are really, really cost prohibitive and impractical.
Hey, we going to bounce around a little bit here because we're getting texts, and texts are wonderful. And I just
Okay.
it says, really good show so far. Somebody's enjoying the show. Thank you. And then the question is, how close did the fire this summer get to Paradise Lodge? I'm not sure
my
what Paradise Lodge is.
Well, I'm gonna twist both of you to get on my boat in June. A skill run up. Yeah, it's Paradise and Half Moon competitive lodges. Back to the Oregon Department of Forestry and Forest Service. The Forest Service, when they thought, I mean, this is, you know, Bandon's in my district. They have the Bandon Dunes. Gold Beach has Rogue River. Brookings has so many. Brookings has a climate and the port and all, and so many other wonderful assets. But when the government found out that we could lose my old lodge at Paradise that I have for 30 years and Half Moon Lodge, they were there within 2.5 hours when the fire was first discovered. And frankly, everything around both those lodges is pretty cooked. But it was almost, gentlemen, like a natural fire where it just burned the fuel that's been building up for so long. I don't think we've had a fire in my Rogue River Wilderness probably for 150 years. And so it's going to be interesting to watch. It's still going to be gorgeous up there, but there's a lot of blackened areas. It'd just be a different kind of gorgeous. So yeah, within 1,000 feet of both lodges, coincidentally.
Well, here, and of course, my California, these wildfires, I'm sure you remember that horrible. We've had so many horrible fires, but the Paradise Fire down there that was almost out of a science fiction movie. Watching some of this, and at the time, I lived down in Yuba City, so it was. I mean, it wasn't threatened, but it was close enough to see, the smoke, and it just terrible. And yeah, forest management, wildfire mitigation, that's got to be huge.
Another, as long as we're talking about paradise, one of my favorite subjects is information for the people to be notified that there is a fire,
Yeah.
notify what's going on. We had, if you watch some of the YouTube
Videos
about about paradise, one of them shows this woman driving down the road, and the flames are just
pretty
huge on either side. She's got her 2 kids in the car, and she's making a video talking about the kids are here. We love you, Dad, and we're not sure if we're going to see you again. It was just total confusion because nobody knew where the fire was, where they had to go. There was one guy they interviewed. He said he walked down in the morning to get his newspaper at the mailbox, the newspaper box, and there was a glow in the sky. And he thought, boy, that's kind of unusual. I've never seen a sunrise like that before. And it wasn't a sunrise. The other side of his town was on fire, and he wasn't even aware of it.
Well, and it also moved, I think, incredibly fast.
Yes.
Incredibly fast. So, yeah.
83 people were killed in the Paradise
Yeah,
Fire,
it was pretty horrible.
if I recall.
Yeah, pretty.
Unimaginable.
We had a fire chief here, or a volunteer fireman from Paradise, who, by the way, had already moved here, and he talked about how most of those lives would not have been lost if they knew what was going on.
Well, and here we get emergency preparedness court. I'm sure that's probably on the top of your list when with tsunami, earthquakes, or wildfires. Do you see any improvements coming in the near future for something like that?
That's an excellent question. I serve on the Veterans General Government and Emergency Preparedness House Committee. I sat with 4 Democrats and 2 other Republicans, so there's 7 of us. Chair Tran is the chair. I think she does an excellent job. And just one example of legislative days, we had the Oregon Emergency Management Director and co-director in there. We give them some hard questions, but they just did a superb job. It used to be back in 2017, 18, 19, 20, it was Andrew Phelps. He did a great job, but we have a new director, Erin McMahon. She's an old Army. I shouldn't say old, but, an Army veteran, and she has just put together a tremendous crew. And of course, it's not just fire, it's tsunami warnings, it's floods. And so I just really feel privileged to be on that committee. And then my other committee is agriculture, water, land use, and natural resources. And that's probably the most sought after committee on the House side, other than Ways and Means, which appropriates funds. But I'm going to get on that committee someday. And then my third committee is I'm sitting with some pretty good heavy hitters, and that's a Joint Audits Committee. So that's made up of both House members, and President and Senators on there, Senator Lieber. There's just some really, really productive people on there. Anyway, that little report. But back to emergency management. Yeah, Oregon, because it's diversity in geography, certainly has a lot of different things that we have to be aware of. And Rep. Comberg, Democrat from Lincoln County, he's been in there about 12 years now, and he is just tough as they come and extremely knowledgeable. I work very good with him and his staff.
A couple of months ago here, we have our emergency notification system is we get an alert on our cell phone. I imagine you're probably familiar with that. Mm-hmm. And a couple of months ago, we had an alert that, I have all the usual beep, beep, beeps, and then there's a tsunami warning in effect. And that was about it. And everybody...
Ray, remind the listeners the name of that system. It's Everbright, isn't it?
I don't know what it is. What do you say? Is it?
I think
Everbright?
I think so.
Everbridge. Okay. I was corrected.
So that was better than nothing. But I happened to
Yes.
have a service person coming to my house at the same time, and when she got up there, she said, "What's going on? People are running all over." And I could see the ocean from my deck, so I just went out on the deck waiting to see the tsunami come in. But tons of people along the road, I understand, that probably would have all been killed had there been a significant. My point being, I get a little out of line there.
Not at all.
All it said was there's a tsunami warning. It didn't say do this, go there, run away, or it gave no other information whatsoever.
So you see, we have some holes we have to plug and some
Yeah, it's a
improvements.
big hole, and I know I just learned this morning when I come in that there was another one of those alerts last night, but it was past my bedtime, so I didn't hear it. But
Oh, that's on you then.
well, no, that
Well, and a big part of that, and we talked about it here at Curry Café and for a couple shows about our own emergency preparedness, how critical it is. And I think I still fall behind a little bit at times of be prepared to evacuate immediately.
I'm showing Rick a list I made yesterday. Well, for some reason or other, I was thinking about the emergency food I should have on hand.
Here's Ray's a good boy. Then he's showing that he's taking care of it.
With the exception of coffee, all these things look awful. I hope I never have to eat them, but I'm going to start hoarding them up, I guess.
It's the go bags are important. We almost. I've only been here 7 years. I was here just the year after that horrible fire, by the way. But and my friend was telling me it's very important to get this go bag together. And we had one incident. Now I can't remember how many years ago we were being alerted to go, but we didn't have to go. And yeah, I had my suitcase and things ready to go.
Well, you talked about that big fire earlier. I know a lot of people who had to leave their homes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know where your what kind of authority you have where, but if I were you, I would write a big note to yourself to let's get some emergency notification systems going.
Fantastic. I mentioned
Was that pause because you were writing? Yeah, I mean, it is a serious thing. As I understand, most of the sirens that we used to have here are gone because they weren't working or anything, and the emergency person who took those down was supposed to replace them, and then he quit or something. So it's
well, right now we
important.
have a new emergency director in Curry County, and Jeff, he works very closely with Josephine Coos, etc. And the only thing I've learned about the sirens, Ray, are that they very expensive to replace.
Mhm.
But when you have people that
and they're meaningless. If you happen to know what those sirens mean, you're okay. But if you don't, what the heck is that?
Well, it's just like our guests that come to the Curry Coast. My goodness, they would at least know if they heard a siren to research and figure out, hey, what's going on?
Do
here?
something. Run down to the beach with everybody else that's going down to watch the tsunami come in.
Yeah.
Well, we're about halfway through, and I just want to let everybody know what y'all are listening to, and that's KCIWLP 100.7 FM here in beautiful Brookings. And I have some more questions. We're kind of bouncing around, but that's okay. It's what we like to do. Can you give us a little info, Court, about the Oregon Coastal Caucus coming together I guess, in 2026 to talk about solving... Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to get out the text line as I talked about. I think that's 541-661-4098. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, Court, about the Oregon Coastal Caucus in 2026 that I guess you're going to be part of.
Well, I'm going to be the new chair. I am the new chair, and I'm just thrilled. I work with 3 senators and 3 other state reps to go all the way down from Astoria to Brookings Harbor. And so there's 22 ports, 7 counties, and 28 incorporated cities. And so there are a tremendous variety of issues that we need to work really closely on. It's a bipartisan program. And, they come to us for advice when it comes to bills that would impact our fishing industry, our tourism industry, energy, certainly our higher education in University of Oregon and Oregon State. I'm learning a lot about the offshore, uh, you know, fish reserves, and it's with four ports in my district between Brookings, Gold Beach, Port Orford, Bandon, all incredibly unique. Plus, we have the port container system that the states put up 100 million. The federal government's put up about three times that, and we're tremendously excited about that. Coos Bay is not in my district. I go up to the east side through Allegheny and that area, but the jobs and home building, just the economic vitality, it's all being done properly. And so we've got our fingers crossed that will employ a lot of people. So, yeah, I seem to, excuse me again, I seem to be the person that should chair that. It won't just be the 26th season. It'll be, it should be the 27th season as well. We'll see how things go, but just a tremendous privilege to have my colleagues vote me and to take that lead.
Well, and you said a couple times, this is heartening to hear that Republicans and Democrats, you work with, I don't know how many, a few Democrats, that you guys are making some progress working together. That's kind of been unheard of in the last few years, it seems like. But it sounds like it's working in Oregon right now.
A lot of rural representatives and senators, they think I'm just going to go to Salem and vote no on everything. Yeah. And sometimes that, that is seems to have some rationale, but you can't get anything done. And plus, I've made friends. My parents were public servants. My mom a nurse for 60 years, 65 years. My dad was a famous sheriff back in the 60s and 70s, just dedicated. I could tell you stories for 2 days on what their philosophy was. Anyway, they love people. And I'll just tell you one quick story. A good friend of mine, I won't mention his name because I just thought of this earlier today, but he came over, and both of you familiar with Vietnam, he came over with his family and was born on a boat as they were migrating to America as they left communist Vietnam. And so he has four siblings. And the story, he's a Democrat, but we've just become good friends. I just have tremendous admiration for him. And compare where I was born, how I was born, compared to what he endured or his family endured. And it's just a remarkable story. And I've had a lot of experiences like that I wouldn't trade for the world. And maybe when we have more time sometime, I'll tell you some of those experiences.
I would like to change the subject for just a minute to talk about something that's one of my pet peeves, and that is we have sheriffs here who think that they should not have to, or actually are threatened. I understand they're people with disciplinary action if they enforce some of the federal gun laws. I talked to our sheriff that's here a few months ago at a forum, and he was. I think this particular law had to do with limiting the capacity of a handgun. And he said, well, there's no reason to do that because all you have to do is blah, 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 blah. All the reasons he didn't have to do it. And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's the law. The law says you have to do that. And they are a higher power than you are. And you're so concerned about the guy carrying a gun not having enough bullets. How about me, who has no bullets, who's just out there? What do you? My question is, what do you think the sheriff's just taking the law into their own hands? He didn't say we're not going to enforce it. What he says is we're not going to put a lot of energy into that. And there are sheriffs, as I'm sure you know, around the country, the constitutional sheriffs that just think that they are the law and they are everything. I don't think we have any of those.
Well, I like our current sheriff. I've been disappointed. The reason I don't understand why he won't negotiate, and boy, I'll tell you, the lawsuits and all of that it gives Curry County a tremendous black eye around the state, and it's just beyond baffling. But that's why we have 3 commissioners instead of 1. It's the executive at the county level. It's the executive, the legislative, the judicial body. That's why you have an odd number. And so he has responsibility to come in for the sheriff and work these things out. I'm not saying his side or his views aren't valid. The constitutional sheriff, I understand. But still, there are guidelines and state and federal laws that say this is what we have to do with the budget. Right now, the sheriff only has, I think, counting himself, 4 deputies. And boy, that's spread. And that's not uncommon, Ray, throughout the state. That rural law enforcement is really suffering, and that's a big concern of mine. So what happens when people, when the law doesn't show up for an hour or 2, then they figure they have to defend themselves. And so that's why the Measure 113 4 years ago only won by half or 1% that basically said, we're going to take your rights away on guns. And so a lot of confusion there. I'm very strong on my Second Amendment. I encourage people to get trained, men and women.
I'll give you a suggestion that I know won't fly. We know we have a huge problem in this country with guns. The worst gun that will have to say, there's too damn many guns. When our president blames it on them being foreigners or being brown people or whatever, but the reality of it is people wouldn't get shot if there weren't so damn many guns. One of the things we could do that would be very, very effective, it would be difficult to initially do, not difficult, just, I guess difficult, is require everybody who owns a gun to have a gun license. And that gun license would require some serious work. It wouldn't be go down to the police station and fill out a form. You would have to go to classes telling you when you couldn't use your gun. Many things like that. As police officers, we went every year. We had a refresher training in when we could do that. And you see an awful lot. Like recently, there was somebody who shot 2 kids that rang the doorbell and were running away, and he felt that was a need to shoot them. People knocking on the wrong door and getting shot. Things like we have to put a handle on who owns the guns and what their restrictions are. So if you get caught without a license and you have a gun, it's a very, very serious felony. I don't think, like I said, that would be difficult to get going. It would be an administrative nightmare, but once it was in place, I think it would work.
The licensing part of it, I don't know how you could have mandatory training, although I would have to take a really serious look at that. Would that automatically register everyone with their guns? And so you look back in history, the pro-gun advocates would say every time guns have been registered, people end up losing their guns, and it becomes an authoritarian government. You look at the 2 National Guardsmen that were killed day for Thanksgiving Day, and
only one was killed. The other's still alive.
No, they both.
Oh, they both died? No,
I believe. Is that right, Court? Both have died.
No, but good point. I don't want to imply. We're hoping and praying that the 24-year-old man, he's clinging to life.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then that was I thought he passed.
No, that's I misspoke there. But we know that the one is dead, and most people believe that whether you have gun licensing or gun restrictions, that man that drove all the way from Washington would have had a gun regardless. And
it's not going to stop every shooting, but it's certainly going to reduce them a whole lot if you make guns more difficult to get.
Well, there's 300 million in the country right now,
right.
And
800 million guns.
300 million.
It just, it just makes common sense that we have so many shootings, ridiculous shootings, that we have to do something about it. And when I hear members of Congress saying we've done everything we can, maybe it's time we change the Second Amendment if that's the problem. But I don't think it is. It's the interpretation of it.
Fair enough.
Well, here we go again. Great topic, and if somebody has a question or comment about it, please text in 541-661-4098. I did have another question from a constituent, Court, that I wanted to. They were talking about the here in Brookings, the new owners of South Coast Lumber. Are you aware of what's going on there? The big.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay.
That's been a family tradition for 70 years. I actually worked for Bill Fowler Sr. In 2000, excuse me, 1971. Just no, 72. I'm sorry, coming out of high school, and we were at the North Plant towards Carpenterville Road, and it got down to 8 degrees, and we're working outside. I was only oh I yes, I was 18. Excuse me. Anyway, just turned 18. And so, what a great tradition. A lot of people are concerned the new company, the Chinook Timber, will they keep the mill going? And boy, I'm hoping and praying because not to be pessimistic whatsoever. I just have great appreciation, admiration for the South Coast family and management, and my goodness, what they've done for our community. But yeah, it would. A lot of people would leave Brookings. That would eliminate Fred Meyer, very likely anyway. And so I'll be working as much as I possibly can with the new company. Because of their good management, South Coast has developed a lot of timber. They lost a lot in the Checo Bar fire, and they had to harvest it 10 years earlier than they otherwise would have. But I think they're very loyal to Brookings. They always have been, all 4 generations. And I think we're going to be okay. But I'm just going to be watching real close and doing anything I can to impact that for the good of my county.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty powerful statement. You say there's a chance that if it doesn't go a good way with the new company, that Fred Meyer might leave Brookings. You think that's really a possibility?
Well, I think that Brookings has always been very economically solid, almost always.
Okay.
And even when they had years that were bad, the Fowler family figured out ways to keep that mill going, even when they were losing money. Now, that
Okay.
wasn't the standard year, but I just want to give them those high marks for all those years that they got that done. I'm just saying that if you lose 500 employees between the two mill locations and they have to go somewhere else, that has a residual effect that, I don't think that's going to happen as far as Fred Meyer, but what would the impact be long term? And so we just want to
You're talking
get
as
behind
though
this new company.
you're talking as though they would get rid of the 500 employees. I mean, they bought a business.
no.
Don't they plan on operating it?
All I'm saying is the worst case scenario.
Okay.
So that's why people are a little bit nervous, Ray. I'm not. I just, I believe that they're going to be really tuned in to supporting the community and keeping those mills going. And my job is to make sure they get green timber. Anything I can do at the state and federal level to increase timber harvest and help them get that timber. And so, we know that a lot of timber goes to waste, has for the last 30 or 40 years. And I think that ship is turning, and they need timber to operate. And they send a lot of trees over to their Merlin site north of Grants Pass. And so, I'm just expressing what some of the current concerns would be, that what could happen if worst case scenario. I don't predict that whatsoever.
Well, but I could see if I don't know if this is a good analogy, but I think of the families that worked for the Detroit auto industries forever and ever, their grandparents, their parents, and I'm assuming that South Coast Lumber is kind of on a smaller scale. Families kind of just planned on, working there because their parents did. And it sounds like South Coast, again, is a new arrival. They've been pretty important to this Brookings community.
And the new broom is going to sweep clean, so there'll be some changes.
Well, some changes.
May even
Yeah.
amount to an increase in business and an increase in employees. Can I ask you one? Court, I'm in researching this morning for this. I see that you spoke against House Bill 2002 on gender affirming care, and I couldn't find any more information about it. What's the story on that?
let's see, that was 2023. And yeah, our side really dug in on that, Ray, because people were coming from outside of Oregon, and the Oregon taxpayers were paying for life impacting long term uh, surgeries. And we're seeing that uh, that gives sometimes a very high suicide rate. And it just goes against the grain of what most Oregonians believe, and especially in my district, Cusco Douglas, and
So,
they don't want that money spent.
what exactly is the issue? This is for um, becoming transgender. Is that
It was it was primarily for surgeries. High highly paid medical physicians that would do those surgeries to kids, and sometimes not even tell their parents. There were aspects of that bill that were just heartbreaking. And
wait a minute? You telling me that they're doing trans operations without notifying the parents?
that's exactly right. Yes.
And how old are these?
And
How old are these kids?
down as young as 10 or 11.
When I went to school, the school nurse couldn't give me an aspirin, let alone castrate me.
They still can't.
Are you sure that kids are having sex change operations without their parents knowing about it?
Uh, that was the part of the bill that we had to stand the hardest against, that portion, because parents were pushed aside and accused of interfering with the with nature. And so it was a real tough rock'em sock'em issue. And I just believe personally very strongly that these kids need therapy, they need love, they need guidance, they need time, and they should not have any kind of surgeries until after 18, and then they can pay for it themselves
Well,
or get
it's a
help.
medical condition. Why wouldn't regular medical insurance cover it? It's not this. This is not because Billy would rather wear dresses. It's a medical condition. It should
Yeah,
be
it's not
handled
a bad,
with
but
medical insurance.
many studies, many psychologists say it is not a medical condition, because somebody gets a little confused. I they have taken uh, the gay rights thing, and they have transitioned that into what I believe is really a tough area. And so those two should be separated. And I think even a lot of the gay community voiced concern about those surgeries and the long term negative impacts
Can you cite
potential.
some? Can you cite something that would show me that school kids were given this surgery without permission?
I will definitely research that. Was
Okay.
just confirming
I
without
I just
parental
find that to be
approval.
absolutely impossible to believe.
Most
Who
people
made the
do. That's what we
decision? The
find.
school nurse or? And it is a medical condition, by the way.
Well, we just have to disagree on that. But who made the decisions are the people that benefited the most, the doctors. And I mean, it is a very, very expensive series of surgeries.
I know. Are you saying this
And
is a for-profit thing? I know some trans people, so I know a little bit about it. And
they had surgeries, Ray,
yeah,
and they're doing okay.
yeah.
Taxpayers pay for it.
I have no idea who paid for it. That there wasn't an issue with me, but
Yeah, but if they're over 18, that's their right.
yeah,
Absolutely their
sure.
right.
We have a couple of texts here. It's not quite a big pivot, but I do have to get. This is about healthcare. This is
Okay.
about healthcare. So let me read this. Brookings residents are down to only one pharmacy.
Okay.
Very difficult for seniors. Is there anything that can be done? And boy, that is a problem.
Mhm.
What?
We've lost in the last 2.5 years, Rick, we have lost almost 40 rural pharmacies throughout the state. Gold Beach is down to just a little office for pharmacies. We have Brookings down to one that serves basically 12 to 14,000 people. That's scary. It puts it puts a proper bright light though on rural healthcare in Oregon. You both are probably aware the Bay Area Hospital in Coos Bay employs almost 1,000 people. Is 40 million under. They have been um, financed by the Bank of Montreal, and so that's the only OB, the only cancer treatment center within I think it's 120 miles, even including Roseburg. And so we're doing everything we can to keep that open. So back to Oregon state priority spending. We need help from the federal government to, excuse me, from the state, well, the federal government too, when it comes to Medicare and Medicaid payments, but to keep our rural hospitals open. In my district, I have Curry General. I have the Brookings Emergency Room that we finally got done in 2020 or 2019, whichever it was. First time in history that Oregon, the Brookings, Southern Curry actually had an emergency facility. I have the Southern Coos in Bandon. It employs about 200 people. The Coquille Valley Hospital, and they can't handle that extra pressure if the Bay Area Hospital in Coos Bay closes. So I think we're going to prevail on that. But the point is, what is happening in rural Oregon compared to the bigger cities? There's so much we can and must do. I don't serve on the medical committees, but I have reps and senators on both sides that do serve, and they keep me well informed. And I think that's an excellent question. Glad you asked. And we got to swing that back.
Okay, we're getting down close to the wire here. We only have less than 8 minutes left, and I think maybe the elephant in the room is we understand that you are in favor of having a vote to end mail-in voting. You want that to be? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well, I was wondering how you were going to do that vote, but that's another thing. What do you have against mail-in voting?
In my district, and it's an excellent question, I believe the majority want to do away with mail-in voting because they want to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. And, my first cousin was Secretary of State, Bev Clarno, and she was very strong in favor of mail-in voting. The issue is, what if we had the people, in the interest of democracy, what if we had the people of Oregon say, yeah, I'm not promoting one way or the other, but if we let them decide, it's just like the 3991 gas repeal that is going to raise taxes for families that can't afford it, that hurt rural Oregonians the most. Democracy prevails when the people get to vote. So I think I don't think people would vote to do away with mail-in voting, but I'd like to see it go before. That's the part you're quoting me on.
I think if you were to bring that up, that gallows that they didn't get to use on Mike Pence would be moved here, and they'd be searching you up. Mail-in voting people love it, absolutely love it, and it's safe and secure. I can vote any time of the day or night, and I have days to make the decision and drive down at a little mailbox and drop it in. There are people in places like Florida that stand in line for 3 or 4 hours, and lots of places like that. And we have it so convenient.
Well, it's a tremendous privilege.
And it's 1925. There's 300 and something million people in this country.
2025. Let me correct you there.
What did I say it was?
That's okay. You said 1925, but that's okay.
Oh, well, okay. I'm a little behind.
That's all right.
We have to have a better way of voting than stand in line and flip levers. Maybe we could have you stick your thumb in
I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't disagree with you on that. What do you think about a national holiday, Ray, where you just give people the day off? That encourages everybody to vote. The Department of Motor Vehicles and the Oregon Health Authority both automatically register new citizens coming in.
Right.
And so that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. So
it rubs people
at any rate.
It rubs people the wrong way, did you say?
The other side wants people to take the responsibility and register to vote on their own, not just make it automatic. And so, I'm just saying, I'm just reporting to you. That's what a lot of people think. I'm not saying I have an opinion either way.
What's the thinking there? If I fill out my driver's license form, I'm automatically registered. There's a problem with that?
Well, if you're not interested in voting, why should we make it easy for you to vote? We want you to be a responsible, energetic voter. I would think.
Well,
I don't.
this doesn't require you to be energetic or responsible. It just requires you to give some thought to it, and not registering automatically is the most sensible thing. The things you're proposing would definitely cut down on the amount of people that are voting, which seems to be the Republican desire to limit the vote. For some reason, they seem to think that when less people vote, Republicans do better. I don't know how they come up with that thinking, but that's pretty settled opinion.
We got some text. I'm going to have to break in. We're going to have to take this to the next time, Court. You're going to be on our show, and I hope it's going to be here pretty soon.
I hope you invite me back.
You're definitely invited back. Okay, I have a text here. When I was waiting in the long line for my prescriptions, I was told that Fred Meyer Corporate lobbied against getting into their pharmacy. Do you have any information about that? Wow.
Not a bit. Wow.
Okay.
They lobbied against what?
Fred Meyer lobbied against getting another pharmacy. So that's what the text says. But Court, you don't know anything.
That's antitrust.
Okay, there you go.
That's the line. That's still the word you had in the line. No, that person had
Yeah.
Just because somebody said it doesn't mean.
We all know that rural hard to say that, rural health care is a problem no matter.
Great place to live if you're not sick. I was told that when I first came here.
When I first moved up here, I was told, now I'm lucky to be qualified for tribal health in California. That's a little different down there. I don't have to experience a lot of the troubles that most people have. But I've been in Fred Meyer at times when I see the line forming for the prescriptions. I've counted 15 to 20 people, and the cars are lined up.
That was a good day.
Well, I tell you, it can be a hassle for anybody, much less senior citizens.
The line goes all the way to the other door.
Right.
Well said, Rick.
Well, sir. All right, Court. We are running down. Really, really appreciate you coming on and getting us all informed about the Southern Oregon. Again, my little sliver of Northern California, but like I said, I call myself almost an Oregonian. I spend so much time. I must go to the ag station 3 or 4 times a day sometimes coming up here. Spending all my money in Brookings, but that's where it should be spent.
Yeah. Give it to us.
Yeah.
Those Californians don't need it.
What a privilege to be on, and great questions, and thanks for the volunteering on this very important process, and best of luck to KCIW.
Well, thank you, because we are an all-volunteer station, and we could use any support out there that y'all want to chime in on. KCIW 100.7 FM.
And I am really looking forward to you coming back, because I'd like to put a little bit more time into this mail-in ballot thing, and I also would like to hear where you got the information that school kids are being medically treated without their parents knowing.
Well, again, that'll have to be on another
the next
show.
one, yeah, because we only have 38 seconds.
All right. Court again,
we won't
man.
solve that.
Really appreciate you coming on. We here at the radio station appreciate it. And a lot of good info, and I hope to have you back real soon.
Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks again.
All right, Court.
See you.
Thank you. All right, y'all, you've been listening to KCIWLP 100.7 FM in beautiful Brookings.